Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. I'm your host, Nick Friesen, current sports writer at the Enid News and Eagle. This episode of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show is brought to you by Kinley's Tanning and Boutique in Enid. From custom game day tees and boutique fashion to tanning and red light therapy, they've got everything you need to look good and feel even better. Stop by 2108 West Willow Road or follow online at kinleyscreations.com. Make sure you do what you usually do on Spotify and YouTube on the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. On YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on that bell for notifications so you never miss a video or a podcast. And then on Spotify, make sure you're following the page Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show so you never miss a video or podcast on there as well. Alrighty, we have a fun show planned ahead for you, so let's get right into Northwest Oklahoma Sports. It's another beautiful Sunday morning, and you're listening to another edition of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. My name is Nick Friesen, current sports writer at the Enid News and Eagle, and it's going to be football heavy with this show today, with high school football wrapping up the regular season and then playoffs beginning. Next week, I'll break down all the playoffs, I'll talk about area teams that are playing, some sleeper teams that I think can make a run in the playoffs this year, and it's going to be football heavy, like I just said. But we're going to start with week 10 of the regular season recap. We're going to talk about the game I went to on Thursday, which was Wacomas and Cherokee, a battle for the district title. And Cherokee's one of the hotter teams in Class B2 right now. And it showed on Thursday night with a big win over Wacomas, 42-8, to secure a district title in District B2-3. And it was really just, and we talked about it, me and Coach Bryce Schombacher for Cherokee after the game. It was their running game, it kind of stagnant, both teams' running game, really. The defenses were playing really good. I know the score doesn't say that, but really the score says it was the chunk plays for Cherokee, with Dustin Schombacher and Trey Green combining for 6 total touchdowns in the contest. And, with Cherokee and everything, it was, Dawson Schombacher or Trey Green opened up the game with a 59-yard touchdown run. Schombacher with a 50-yard touchdown run later in the first quarter, all the way in the fourth quarter, Trey Green with a 68-yard touchdown run to ice the game, really. And then third quarter, 31-yard touchdown run by Dawson Schombacher. So it was really the chunk plays that got, Cherokee on the board and everything. And in those type of games, when both the defenses are playing well, you kind of have to rely on those chunk plays, even if it's just like a 40-yard touch or a 40-yard run to get them inside the 5 so you can power your way into the end zone. But with Cherokee, those chunk plays were actually touchdown runs. And so that's kind of what opened up the scoring and kind of got them that big lead. And then, another key, Cherokee's defense was outstanding on Thursday night. 5 total turnovers. Gavin Guffey and Dawson Schombacher each had 2 interceptions. So the defense was there, and they kind of made Wacomas one-dimensional and kind of got them to where, Wacomas likes to use different formations and schemes and everything. But, if you just get a team to one-dimensional offense where they're going to have to run the football because they can't throw the ball tonight, and they're turnover happy with the ball if they're in the passing game, then that makes it your life easier on defense. And that's what Cherokee did against Wacomas. And, Gavin Guffey, he's not the tallest player playing in the secondary for Cherokee, but, he kind of just read the passes from Wyatt Smith and Brady Hellberg, and, they kind of just played the center field in baseball and everything, and kind of just watched the QB's eyes and made the plays when he needed to. So shout out Gavin Guffey. He was awesome in that, especially in that first quarter. I think he had both interceptions in that first quarter. It was definitely in the first half, but he had one in the first quarter. And so, but Cherokee is just one of the hotter teams in B2 right now, and they're a scary bunch. And I'm just looking at the playoff bracket for them. I mean, it's going to be, they got Arcoma this first round on next Friday at Cherokee. And then if whoever wins that Surreal Boys City game is in for a rough outing. You see, here's the thing with the district title and everything. If you win that, you get two home playoff games. And so with that, I mean, you're playing the quarterfinals at your home, and then in the semifinals is the neutral site. From that top of the bracket, it looks like Sealing will probably come from that top of the bracket. So it could be Cherokee and Sealing, and one semifinal in B2. We'll see. I wouldn't want to play Cherokee right now though. Like, they're firing on all cylinders, both sides of the ball, and it's kind of awesome to see. Really, just to see what they were. Yeah, I watched them against Timberlake in the season opener, and it was a shootout, but both defenses really didn't look any good. And then they go to Pioneer, and Pioneer's rushing attack got after them, and that they kind of just had a talk to. That's what Coach Schombacher said after the game. They kind of just had a meeting after that Pioneer game, and it was kind of more so how bad do you want it really this year? How bad do you really want to compete for a district title, a state semifinal, a state title, and everything? So here's Coach Schombacher after the game against Waukomis. This is going to be my full interview with him, and so here's him just talking about the overall night and kind of just his players' mentality really after that Pioneer game early in the regular season.
Man, I tell you what, you're one of the hotter teams in B2 right now, and that was a culmination of a great district title win. Just kind of talk about the performance and what you said to your players.
Well, first of all, extremely proud of them. That's a very good football team, Waukomis is. They were physical. We knew they were going to be. We had a little trouble doing what we like to do and running the ball. But we made big plays when we needed to. I thought our defense played outstanding tonight, and really came up big for us when we needed to. But our team showed a lot of grit. They stuck in there and, like I said, kind of made plays. We had some things go wrong, but we seemed to find a way out.
Gavin Guffey and Dawson Schombacher each had 2 interceptions. Just talk about Gavin Guffey. I feel like smallest dude out there, and he's making some plays.
I'm so happy to see Gavin having the success that he is, because he had a lot of injuries when he was younger, and he was very good even then. He's always been undersized, but he plays with that chip on his shoulder, and it really shows. And so it's really exciting to see him be having the year that he's having.
Those chunk plays for y'all on offense with Schombacher and Trigream and everything. Just talk about those two and kind of just their success tonight on offense.
Yeah, they've been doing that, all season. Big plays, and you never know. They can take it to the house, I feel like, from just about anywhere. But, if you really went back and looked at that, that's when we executed things well, gave them some space to run. So, group effort. But, yeah, those two guys, they're a lot of fun to watch.
The saying is you want to play your best ball, and I feel like just from the Pioneer game, each week you continue to get better and better and better. And you're playing your best ball right now, and you're a scary team for anyone in Class B2. Would you just talk about the message you're going to say to your players, after on Monday heading into that playoff week?
It's just the same thing, we just, 1 week at a time. They really took it to heart after that Pioneer game, the things that we talked about with attitude, effort, leadership, accountability. It was really kind of some of those internal things. And then these guys just believing that they're capable of doing something like tonight and winning a district championship, and coming out on the field and expecting to win instead of hoping to win. And so it was really just an overall attitude shift. Our seniors took it to heart. They did a great job. They're great leaders, and these young guys are following right there with them. And it's a lot of fun to see it all come together.
So it's like Coach Bryce Schombacher said, the players have taken that meeting and talked to a heart. Senior leadership has trickled down to the younger players, and it culminated in a district title. So Cherokee, one of the hotter teams in B2, and I'd be scared to play them right now. Good luck to Arcoma next week. That's like a 6-hour drive to Cherokee, close to it in a bus. So that's going to be a tough one. Mentally, just sitting on a bus for 6 hours has got to be just like terrible, because you got to stop somewhere, you got to eat, and then that's probably 3 hours away. So then you got another 3 hours on the bus to get to Cherokee, and it's just bizarre. I'm sure it's bizarre. And so good luck to both teams on Friday. Good luck to Cherokee, but we'll just see how it goes in the first round of the playoffs. But recap the rest of Week 10 in Northwest Oklahoma. Moore takes the 49-7 win over Enid on Friday. Nehemiah Hernandez found Des Middlestead for a 21-yard touchdown. The running game really got going for Moore in that contest. So congratulations to Moore on finishing with the win and on their season. OBA takes the win over Garber 54 to 20. Cal K.I. with the touchdown pass. Liam Berry with the 72-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Cal with another touchdown pass. Liam Berry and Cal K.I. really was the story of that contest. So congratulations to the Trojans of OBA. Laverne takes the 22-8 win over Pioneer on Friday. Kind of stopped Pioneer's rushing attack. It looks like, Pioneer had more yards passing than yards rushing in that contest, which is, for them, that's not the recipe for success. They want to get that running game going. And so Laverne walked up District B 1-1, so they'll get 2 home playoff games in the playoffs. Timberlake with a big district title win over Tyrone 50-18. They'll get 2 playoff wins. The Class C is wide open this year with Timberlake, Ryan, Mountain View, Godibo, Medford, Tipton. It's wide open this year. I like what Class C is gonna be a fun 8-man class to watch this year in the playoffs. Chisholm with a 41-0 win over Crooked Oak on Friday. Ponker Hunter with a 64-38 win over Turpin. Hennessy with a 19-6 win over Cassidy. Kingfisher 30, Plainview 26 on Friday. Let's see here. That's it for all the scores that we got on Friday night. I was at a wedding Friday night, rehearsal dinner for my wife was a matron of honor in a wedding this weekend, and so Friday we had rehearsal and the rehearsal dinner, and so I was gone, but I still try to keep track of all the scores and everything during that time, and then when we got back to the hotel, I looked at all the scores and kind of shaped out what the playoffs were going to be like and everything. But congratulations to all the team that finished with wins in the regular season. Playoff football's here, and we're going to talk about that in our next segment. But OBA with a big win over Garber. Timberlake, big win. Solidify that district title in Class C over Tyrone. Those are just some of the big wins. Chisholm kept rolling. I know it was Crooked Oak, but, they didn't look like they just stumbled out of the gates or anything. And now they got a first-round day with Washington. So congratulations to all the teams that won in Northwest Oklahoma in Week 10 of the regular season, and we're in the playoff net. We're in playoff mode now, folks. All these games matter now, so let's talk about that in the next segment of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. All right, so for this first part, we're just going to be talking about the teams that are playing in our area. I think we have 13 teams that we cover that are playing in the playoffs next Friday. So we'll start with Class C here. Timberlake will face Geary, and Medford will face Bowlegs in the first round of the playoffs. That could set up, if Medford and Timberlake both win, that could set up a semifinal matchup between those two if they win their first 2 games. But got to get through the first round first. So Timberlake will face Geary, and Medford will face Bowlegs. Class B2, O'Keene will take on Wetumpka on Friday. Cherokee, like I said, will take on Arcoma. Covington Douglas gets in the playoffs this year. They'll take on Wilson Henrietta. Covington Douglas needed some help on Friday, and they got that help. Davenport went down. Coyle took him down. So the Coyle win, Covington's in the playoffs. So congratulations to the Wildcats. We'll move on to Class B1 here with, Ponker Hunter will travel to Empire on Friday. Oklahoma Bible Academy will host Waurika on Friday, and then Pioneer will head to Hollis on Friday in the first round of the playoffs. I like that matchup for Pioneer against Hollis. That could be, keep tuning in because that could be one of the sleepers in the playoffs and my first round sleepers and everything. So we'll move on to Class 2A2. I think we just have one here. Yeah, Hennessy will take on Dibble. They'll host Dibble on Friday in the first round of the playoffs. So congratulations to the Eagles. That's they kind of went on a 6-game winning streak and then stumbled against Stroud, but bounced back and still secured a home playoff game. So Congratulations to Hennessy. Class A1, Fairview will host Hobart on next Friday. That was just a strange game with Fairview and Cashin on Friday. Tied 36 all, 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and then boom, the power goes down in Cashin. Then you got to go to Crescent, and then game goes in overtime, but Fairview took the overtime win over Cashin with the Alex Hawk touchdown run. But hopefully they don't have to experience any of that in the playoffs this year, but we'll see. But Fairview takes on Hobart in the first round of the playoffs. 2A1, we'll have Chisholm hitting the road to take on Washington. That could be a big-time matchup. And with the way Chisholm has been tested this year, I do like, just Chisholm to, keep it close to the fourth quarter. And once you do that, anything can happen in that game. But Chisholm will hit the road to take on Washington on Friday, the first round of the playoffs. And then Class 3A, Kingfisher will take on Lone Grove. They hit the road to face Lone Grove. So those are all the first round matchups. I don't think I missed anyone in there. I don't think I did. Yeah, I think I talked about everyone. So good luck to all the teams in the first round of the playoffs and everything. So we'll just get right to this. We'll just talk about the sleepers, I think, in the first round of the playoffs for me. I got four of them. I got Chisholm. Let's just do three. Yeah, three, because, no, let's do four. Chisholm, Wacomas, Pioneer, and Medford. This is going to be sleeper teams in the whole playoffs, not just the first round. Sleeper teams in the playoffs. So I like Chisholm as being a sleeper team in the playoffs because here's the thing. They face Metro Christian and a couple plays here and there in that Metro Christian game, and it could be a different story. OCS, same thing. Couple different questions or a couple different plays go Chisholm's way or anything, could be a different story. They've been battle tested. I don't know what the opposing record or the opposing team's record, like combined record, finished for Chisholm like the teams they faced, but it was already high up there with the losses against OCS and Metro Christian. I kind of wondered what they finished as a combined record, their losses to those teams and everything. So Chisholm's been tested, and it's going to start with containing Washington, their skill weapons and their quarterback and everything. And if Chisholm can force a couple turnovers here and there, and their offense is going to be their offense, they're going to find ways to punch it in and score with the deep ball or the running game. So, like I said, if they can keep it to where it's like a one-score ball game in the fourth quarter or a field goal away in the fourth quarter or 2-point conversion, whatever, that's what they need to do to get it to the fourth quarter. One-score ball game to give themselves a chance, because at that point, anything can happen. Have a turnover, a pick six for a touchdown, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, or whatever. But the first thing they have to do is they have to create turnovers to give themselves a chance against the top team in 2A1. So that's one of my sleeper teams in the playoffs is Chisholm. I think, if they get past Washington, then, that they're going to have to all these other games could make it easier, and then they could set up maybe possibly a rematch with either Metro or Oklahoma Christian or OCS in the semifinals. But got to get past Washington first. So that's one of my first sleeper teams. Second one, Wacomas. I just think Wacomas is one of the more experienced teams, I would say, of when they have a bad game, they bounce back in a big way, in a really big way. Now, they're going to do the same path like last year. They're going to face Weber's Falls in the first round at home, and then they take on Walika in the second round. So, they are one of the more impressive teams. Whenever they have a bad game, they bounce back in a big way. So, I expect them to bounce back against Weber's Falls. With Walika, you got to stop Drake, the quarterback, up there. And that's going to be a hard time to do. But if you can just contain him a little bit, and you can get your different formations, get get the passing game going like they tried to do against Cherokee, get the running game going with Wyatt Smith, Mason Phelan, Lane Winkler, Wyatt Southwick, and all those other dudes. I just think, if they can get that going, Wacomas can. They can be a sleeper team in the playoffs, and it's kind of like the same situation I said with Chisholm. If they get to Walika, they got to get into a one-score ball game in the fourth quarter. At that point, anything happens. So, Wacomas is one of my other sleeper teams. Pioneer. We're going to talk about Pioneer. I don't want to. If Pioneers get their rushing game going against Hollis, look out, because that's the one thing when they went into that game against Timberlake and all these other teams is, if they get their running game going, it's over because their offensive line is then comfortable. They're getting their blocks. They're making next level, blocks and everything. So if Pioneer can get their running game going in this year's playoffs, look out because they could possibly be a state semifinal team, just based off of what they have done this year when they've got the running game going. Now, if the same situation happens like it did last week against Laverne, where Laverne got them to more passing yards than rushing yards, then we'll see. But I do like Pioneer's chances against Hollis. Just if they can get the running game going with Zia Fafa, Gabe Umstead, Oliver Silva, and then the offensive line and everything, I do think they're going to be a sleeper team in the playoffs this year for Class B1. Obviously, I think all of District B11 is going to be a sleeper team because Ponca County can go to Empire and beat them just based off of what the tough district schedule. OBA, if they win, then they face Dewar. I like OBA's chances against Warlika in the first round of the playoffs. District B11 is going to be tested, and it's always going to be like that with District B11. So, just based off of, the tough district schedule and everything. So, Chisholm, Wacomas, Pioneer, my sleeper teams, and then one more. We're going to talk about Medford. It's Medford's time, I think, to make a big push to the state title. I really do. They could get past Bow Legs, set up a date. That's going to be a huge matchup, Mountain View Goody Bow. So we'll see there. If they can get past Mountain View Goody Bow, then they got Timberlake. And based off of what, Cash Kelly, Ethan Gonzalez, and all of them, both of those offenses with Medford and Timberlake, it's going to be a shootout. And it's going to be who's going to create the one mistake for the opposing offense with their defense. Who's going to create that turnover, that interception, or that fumble. And with that, especially in Class C, that's a huge advantage if you can create turnovers in Class C playoff games. So Medford, I think, just based off of what they experienced last year, they got to face a tough Ryan team in the second round of the playoffs. So they're tested. They know that group of boys out there, they're tested, and they know what to expect now. And they got an easier draw, I think, with, they got to face Bow Legs, and then they set up a huge matchup with Mountain View Goody Bow. But I like their chances against Mountain View Goody Bow. And then that sets up for a matchup with Timberlake if all goes to plan in the state semifinals. So, those are my four sleeper teams: Chisholm, Wacomas, Pioneer, and Medford. Sleeper teams in the playoffs. Really, just based off of looking at all of them, I like most of the teams to win their first round games. Lone Grove, Kingfisher, that game against Lone Grove is going to be tough. Obviously, Chisholm and Washington is going to be a tough one for Chisholm, but like I said, if they can get to a one-score game and then also before then create some turnovers in the contest, get Creed Barrett to turn the ball over a little bit, the Washington quarterback, we'll see about that. I like Tennessee in their game against Dibble. Man, I really do like everyone in B11 to win on Friday. I just do because I know what that district is, and I know that even if they don't win, it's going to be close either way. Like, Pioneer's going to keep it close against Hollis. Empire, Ponca County's going to keep it close against Empire. I I just like all B1-1 in the first round of the playoffs. And then B2, same thing. I like Covington to maybe pull off an upset in B2. They're getting healthy at the right time. I mean, Justice Halcombe, Ryland Fisher, their running back. And I'm like O'Keen's going to dominate their first round opponent. And then Cherokee, same thing. Wacomas, same thing. I like all B2 and their first round playoff matchups, and I like all of Class C as well. But those are the first round playoff matchups, and those are my sleeper teams in the playoffs. So good luck to all the teams that are competing in the playoffs in their respective classes. All right, so those discussions on the first round of the playoffs and my sleeper teams, that was a Garfield County report. So now we're on to the rant of the week. This is where I pick a topic in the sports world, not really Northwest Oklahoma, and I give my rant or take on it for the week. So, obviously, I think the most appropriate one is the college football playoff because that was just released Tuesday. We'll just go right off the bat. I don't think Group of 5 should ever be considered, or whatever they're called. Group of 6. I wish they would go away from that format of making the Group of 6 considered to be a spot in the college football playoff, because what you saw Tuesday is there's no Group of 6 ranked in the top 25. But hey, Memphis was there at 26 or 27, so they're the highest Group of 6 team. So they bounce either Texas or Oklahoma in the first round of the playoff, or in the opening, or bounce them in the playoffs in general. So another thing here from the first initial rankings. So we'll just read them off. The 5-12 matchup, if it happened, would be Georgia and Memphis. 9-8 matchup would be Oregon and Texas Tech. 11-6 matchup would be Ole Miss versus Virginia, and the 7-10 matchup would be BYU versus Notre Dame. The 4 byes would be Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Indiana. That's what came out Tuesday of last week. So that was, let's see, November 4th. I think that's when they came out. I could be wrong, but November 4th or 5th is when these came out. So these are your initial rankings. But like I said, I don't think there should be any Group of 6 team that should ever be considered in the initial rankings if they're not even in the top 25. So that goes back to my whole situation of I wish they would never allow the Group of 6 to be even considered in this, unless they're like 12-0 and they're beating up on their non-conference opponents like a Notre Dame or a Texas A&M or something. But you saw what happened this week. Memphis got beat by Tulane. Virginia got beat Saturday night. BYU laid a clunker against Texas Tech. So what makes that happen, obviously ACC is in a total fluster right now because they only had one team in these initial rankings, and now their one team got beat. So, I mean, they're going to have to find another team, probably in the ACC title game, to get to go on the road in their first round playoff matchup. But Memphis, they get beat by Tulane. So who's the next best team in the Group of 6? Memphis is probably still there. But Navy, North Texas could be a consideration, I think, just based off of their whole situation. But see how I'm having a hard time of trying to find some just based off of everything. It's because there's not a good Group of 6 team this year. I mean, it showed in the first initial rankings. They didn't even have one in the top 25. So then they have to pick out the 28th best team, the highest ranked school outside of the top 25 in the American Conference, and it's Memphis, and they get beat. So what are we going to do now? Have to pick out a top the 35th team in the country? But they're the highest ranked Group of 6 team, so they get to be number 12, and they get to go play an SEC school probably and get bounced in the first round by 49 points. That's what's going to happen with these Group of 6 teams. Because obviously, I think the SEC is going to get 4 or 5 teams. We'll see about that. I don't know. And then the Big Ten's probably going to get 2 or 3 at least. So, that leaves for either Memphis or whoever in the Group of 6 to get bounced by a Big Ten team by 49 points or an SEC team by 49 points. Now, who replaces Virginia? I still think Georgia Tech's going to be the team that gets in the college football playoff for an ACC perspective. Obviously, it's going to come down to whoever wins that ACC title game because everyone else just flat out sucks in the ACC. Big 12, Texas Tech and nobody else. Because after what you saw yesterday against BYU, Texas Tech is the more formidable just opponent for anyone in the college football playoff. Now, I do not like their chances against Oregon or whoever they face in the first round of the playoffs. That's just my take on that. I know they spend probably $30 million, $25 million, whatever, just to even get to the playoffs. But they set themselves up in a pretty nice situation. Just they control their own destiny to make the playoffs. So, I mean, here's my other thing. Notre Dame should not be higher ranked than either Texas or Oklahoma. We'll just read off. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma's best win, I would say. Two best wins would be Tennessee and I guess Michigan. Yeah, I would say so. Those are the two best wins for OU. Texas, it's probably Vanderbilt and I don't even know. Kentucky? Or no, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. Duh. So those are the two best wins for OU and Texas. I don't know Notre Dame's schedule. I'm pulling it up right now. But I just know that their two best wins are not better than Oklahoma and Texas. So first of all, they played two good teams. I know they got beat by one score. I get it, but they still got beat. They got beat by Miami, who was 18th at the time. And then, like Texas A&M, that's a good loss, but they still got beat. I mean, they do have a win against USC, but beat the crap out of Navy yesterday. Boston College is either 1-8 or 1-9. I don't know what they are. They suck. But NC State sucks. Boise State sucks. Arkansas looking for a coach. Purdue, they're not very good. So who have they beaten? Like they've beaten nobody. And then when they've played good teams, they lost by one score. And for me, if I was a playoff committee member, I think that would be more telling than, getting blown out. Because that shows to me when you play a good team, you can't beat them in close games. You're good enough to keep it close, but you can't beat them in close games. So I think at that point, I think it should have been, let's see here. I really want to put Memphis out of there. I don't like Memphis at all. I really don't. I like North Texas maybe. I hope it's not like San Diego State or James Madison. I don't know. Man, I just don't know. They need someone. All these teams that are in the hunt need Notre Dame to lose. That's basically what it comes down to. And Oklahoma, if they can beat Alabama next week, they set themselves up for, I would say, that's 6. Because here's the thing. I mean, Ole Miss even beat Oklahoma. So do you put Ole Miss at 5 and then Oklahoma at 6? Like, do you just bump OU from 12 to 6? I think that you do because you beat Alabama, who's one of the hotter teams in college football right now. But we'll just get back to my rant. My rant is I don't like Memphis or any of the group of 6 to make it to the college football playoff, but they have to because that's how it's set up, and it sucks, but that's how they set up, so who cares? That's just how it rolls, and that's how we play our cards, basically. I hate Notre Dame's spot in the rankings based off of what OU and Texas have done, but that's how it rolls, and that's how the system works, and I hate the system. They should fix it next year, but who knows? And obviously now, looking back now, after all the games I played, the ACC should only get one team, and the Big 12 should only get one team. So what does that leave? That leaves another probably SEC school. And then obviously if Notre Dame wins out, then Notre Dame's going to get it. They're going to get in the college football playoff. But, yeah, that's my rant of the week. I hate the college football playoff. I especially hate the initial rankings because they kind of means something just based off of what the committee thinks. So obviously they think with Notre Dame it's the eye test, right? But the eye test still says they got beat in close games. That's just what I'm going to say. But the eye test, Memphis, they're the highest group American Conference team. Well, they just got beat. So who's going to be another group of six? Who's going to be the other group of 6 team now? Okay, so obviously Indiana had a tough game against Penn State. So do you bump them out and put Ole Miss or whatever or Georgia in the top 4 now? I mean, it's the eye test with them. They all like these teams because of the eye test, except for Virginia. I mean, they just had to put an ACC school in there because everyone sucks in the ACC this year. But yeah, that's my rant of the week. I hate the college football playoff. So I'll do it for this week's edition of the Northwest NWOK Sports Show. It's a short one, but I talked a lot about the rant of the week and then the Garfield County report. So, to be clear, I don't hate the college football playoff. I hate the format of the playoff, but that's just me. I'm sure there's someone out there that's just so happy to see Memphis, a group of 6 team, and then they're probably a fan of Memphis and they got beat, but then they're like, whoa, they still have a shot, right? They still have a shot. I wish they didn't, but they technically do, and so does North Texas, and so does Navy. But I digress. But we'll get back to it next week. Obviously, we'll be talking about high school football, first round of the playoffs. I think everyone in this area should do good in the first round. Falls fails. We have 13 teams now. I see 8 to 10 moving on to the second round. I really do. Now, I could be totally wrong, but we'll see. I do expect out of 13 teams, I expect 8 to 10 make it to the playoff or second round of the playoffs. Next week we can start talking about a little bit of basketball. I went to one game this week. It was Drummond Lamega, the boys and the girls game. Lamega took both games. I'll just kind of give a breakdown. The girls game, it was close in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and then Lamega, they hit like five threes in the fourth quarter, and then they just kind of pulled away in the fourth. The boys game was kind of just a physical, tough, hard-nosed matchup that had no shots. Nobody was making shots. Obviously, season opener, it's going to have a tough time to make shots and everything, but Lamega came out with the win, 41-38 win over Drummond. And then next week, we can start talking about more about Drummond, Lamega, Dover, other teams, basically DCLA, all the other teams that are not playing football, that are not playing basketball. We can start just talking about them and kind of what I think overall of the teams so far. Dover as well, just some basketball teams. But till next week, we'll have another edition next Sunday. So until next time, Northwest Oklahoma sports fans, continue to do what you do. Go out and show your support for Northwest Oklahoma sports teams.